Welcome back, YouTube. So in this video, I'm going to create the scenario that the next cross that we have at the 14 and the 72 could be the indicator of our run into peak bull run, which would give us that high of around $1.40 that I have as a target. And I want to set this up. We're going to do some overlaying here. We're going to take a look back at history and kind of look at where we are now. And I do want to point out that this is not going to be like a smooth one motion green candle, because I know sometimes people are like, oh, it's going down, it's going to retrace and all that kind of stuff, because there's a lot of fear in the market and people watch a lot of just strictly like hopium stuff, and it's just supposed to be one sweeping motion up to a peak bull run, and that's typically not how it works. And what you're looking at right here is the run in 2021. Look at this run here. And before we get into the data, I just want to point out that the motion that we're seeing here, we have a run from around 7 cent up to 46 cent. Then we had a run back down to 14 cent. It didn't close there, but it went from 40 cent, by around 47 cent, really 46, 47 cent, down to 14. And then we went up into the 70s, right? So expect that type of volatility. Like, people are freaking out now over 0.3 of a penny of the, if Doge goes from 15 cent to 14 and a half and back to 15, people are freaking out. Imagine that swing there, right? Imagine the people that were bought in at around 6 cent and sold at 14 because they thought it was going back to 6 cent, and then it ran to 72. So just kind of keep that in mind. But the biggest indicator I wanted to point out is the reason I've been tracking this is because we have the 1472 crossing, and that was the initial pump. This is from that took us from below a penny up to around that 9-10 cent range, right? And then we had the consolidation, and then we had that second cross of the 14 and the 72. And that was the trigger really to that next push and creating those next legs up. Because even the first one, we had the second cross, this would technically be considered the second leg after that 14 to 72, even though they never crossed again until we were going on the downside. That second cross there's still two legs after that second cross, right? So if we take that and you compare it to some of the things that we're seeing now, it's going to make a lot more sense. And kind of give you an idea of kind of what to expect if we're going to mirror kind of like that, a similar pattern, right? It's like unlikely that's going to be the same as this, as far as for like motion and price points and stuff like that. We'll certainly have some of the same resistance and support in some of the same areas, but it's not going to match this identically. But it can give you an idea of what to expect going forward and where we are now in the cycle. Because if this is true, right, this scenario, we are somewhere right here where you can see like the crosshairs on my cursor here. We are somewhere right here where we're getting ready for that next 14 and 72 to cross, right? So let's take a look in the present day. Remember, this is 2021. Let's take a look in the present day. And we have two legs after this scenario here. So we're going to scoot over here. We're going to go back through all of this. And this is all things that I've charted in real time. So I like to keep everything on here so we can always go back through time and see the charts and stuff. But so right now we're in present day. So if we're looking here, we have the initial cross and we have the run up. I don't know if I'm going to zoom in here, it's going to make a lot more sense. So we know that during the bull run, the 14 crossing the 72 to the downside, or the death cross, is not as effective as it would be in like a bear run. And I can also point that out to you in the 2021 calendar, because it was very effective after peak bull run, 14 crossing the 72. That should be your last sell signal there, because it is certainly going to have a severe downtrend after that. So just kind of count that as a major sell signal after we've had those big rallies. So what we have here to the upside, we have the 14 crossing the 72, which is what brought us from our top liquidity zones from around 6 cent to 10 cent, roughly, right? Then we have the cross to the downside. When we mellowed out, we had that flattening, right? We had the next cross here. So this would technically, you can consider this the second cross here before we had that run from the like 5 cent up to like that first leg, right? So you can say we have this cross here, the 14 to 72, and then we had this run where we are. So this would be considered, if we're mirroring 2021, and again, and I know it looks different and it's supposed to, the next bull run is going to look different from this one, but this will be leg one, right? And so what we're gearing up here, the 14 and 72, the 14 is this yellow line, the 72 is this orange one. So what we're gearing up for the next cross of the 14 and the 72, this would be that leg two. This would be that leg two that took us to, what do you know, around 47 cents. And we went from 47 cents, we had that pulled back down to around 14 cents, and then we ascended up into the 70. So if we are repeating this 14 crossing the 72 for the second time, would be that major signal of the second run, or the second run. But remember, there are two legs. There were two legs last time in that run. So even if we have the 14 and 72 and you see that big sell off, that does not necessarily mean that it's over. Now, obviously, we're going to have to kind of layer this with macros, what Bitcoin is doing and all that, so that we're not out of tune with the market and just saying that, oh, there's supposed to be two legs. You never want to just expect what happened last time to happen this time. But it's important to kind of know the data there and the possibilities of a repeat of what happened last time, right? And that's what we're doing here, is gathering data and looking at that. So that's why I said we can have this signal kind of set that alarm off within the next couple of weeks, because we definitely have the curve here to have this cross sometime within the next couple of weeks and get that major signal in the run to the upside. Because last time this happened, this was a big run from, what is this? Like 6 cents up to like 10.5 cents. So we're talking about a 40-cent run. And then we had the cross from, and this is last year, right? We're talking about like October, before we even get into like the bull run time frame. And then, but this last cross here took us from 8 cents to around 22.5 cents, right? So we're talking about roughly a 200% increase here when you're looking at the factors that go into here. So even if we have the same kind of type of effect here at around 15 cents, we're talking around 45 cents, which is some of the targets we've been talking about for that next leg up. Now, obviously, it could overshoot, something like X payments or some Doge specific catalyst or whatever comes out. Then obviously you're going to have a bunch of like fear and like FOMO, swing traders, all that kind of stuff is going to come in there. That's going to initiate that initial volume. Doge futures that we were talking about. A lot of those things can come in there and play a different factor and blow some of those charts out of the water, right? It's kind of like that anomaly factor that, like when Elon purchased Twitter, and we had that 120% increase like overnight, right? You can't chart those types of things as far as for how much that's going to affect people coming into the asset. So, but we just know that that will be a positive catalyst for the asset. So that's just something we can kind of expect going forward. So, and another thing we can kind of couple with this while we're on the topic is shorts. I'm going to zoom in here, and I circled this yesterday. When people are saying, oh my God, it may break down below 14, I always like to check the people who make their living from the asset going down and see if they align with the tone of the market or what people are saying or what the charts are actually reflecting. And the charts are reflecting to me that we are threatening a major break to the upside. So I confirm that to see if there is fear in the short market. And this tells me that they are not confident that we're going to go lower, right? So I love seeing this when the charts tell me that, hey, we're about to have a move to the upside. I love coming to the short chart to see if they are moving out of the way because we are threatening to have that move to the upside. So when I see something like this, I like this, right? This confirms what I see. Now, if shorts were going higher, if this was the complete opposite, that would cause me some concern here. Maybe there's something I'm not seeing, because these people don't give away money on purpose. They do get wrecked, but they don't purposely lose money, right? Nobody does that. So when you have multiple charts telling you the same story, that's when you can get a little bit more confidence in your theory. So, and you look here on the total patterns here, some of the bigger outliers, they're all following the same thing. This is why I love to see, Doge in the top 10, grabbing up a lot of that liquidity. Bitcoin's doing the same thing. We're having the 14 coming across that 72. That's going to be a major run. This is going to put Bitcoin in position to hit 100K. This is a major run for Bitcoin, and this is going to cause a lot of liquidity overall to come into the market, right? And I'm talking about total market cap, right? And we can take a look at that here as well. Total market cap. Same pattern here. This is total market cap sitting roughly at 2.36 trillion right now. And we're about to get a similar cross here, the 14 to 72. Last time this happened, we were down here at around 1.5 and we almost doubled, right? With the peak of around 2.7 roughly. So this here, doubling from here, almost doubling from here, is going to put us roughly at around $5 trillion, or a new all-time high in terms of total market cap for crypto, right? So that's what, that means $100,000 Bitcoin and a lot of these other coins breaking all-time highs, and that liquidity going, being dispersed, because the higher Bitcoin goes, people are start to look for other alternatives, because once you have 100,000, 200,000, 300,000 Bitcoin, you do the math on that. And you say, okay, how do I get 100% return on my investment? And for Bitcoin to give you 100% at $100,000, it now has to go to 200,000 or if it's 200,000, it's going to have to go to $400,000 to give you 100% return. So as an investor, you say, okay, well, what's more likely, right? What takes less capital out of the market to get that 100% return? Is it Bitcoin going from 200 to 400, or from 100 to 200? Or is it Doge going from 15 cent to 30 cent, right? And you start looking at those, and that's how you get that spillover and other coins become really attractive. And that's typically why Bitcoin runs first, because no one wants to miss out. So you'll see some of that capital spill over into other coins. And that's typically why historically Bitcoin has ran first, and then the other coins take off after it. So that's why we kind of call it the market leader and use it as an indicator, because people start looking for those alternatives. And for coins that take a less, that are reliable, not going to get rug pulled, have that history. And I think that's one of the things that's going to stand out for Doge this run, and how we're going to hit some of those higher numbers here. So that's one of the things that we've been charting here for it to make sense for everyone. So the biggest thing that I think going forward is going to be aligning with the macros, because we have, I think, just on a side note here, not even I think, I know that crypto is going to get bought up on the election trail. It's going to certainly be brought up, and we're going to be hearing about it during the debates. Crypto, Biden, his cabinet have already took their stance. Trump has made a few statements. This is something that's going to affect crypto going forward. So expect there to be some volatility around that time of the year, right? Q3, Q4, right? Another thing, historically speaking, markets typically do better when a president is trying to be reelected. Not sure how, but historically markets pump when a president's running for a second term. If you don't believe me, look at the history, look at the stock market. A president's running for a second term. The economy can be doing whatever, but somewhere around election time, and not election time, but somewhere around the debates and on the campaign trail, the market just starts to run and pump, and the economy just gets this, it's not a great indicator to use as how the economy's been doing overall, but it certainly improves significantly around that time, right? So, expect there to be some pumps here in the market. We're already seeing it, right? NASDAQ hitting highs, SPY hitting highs. We're already seeing it across the board. So expect there to be more of that around Q3, Q4, which kind of aligns with, what our term for bull market in the crypto market is. We expect there to be some pumps and rallies in the market around Q3, Q4 for things to get really interesting. And that can potentially propel us into peak bull run, right? Historically, we should get peak bull run somewhere early next year, but you never know. This could certainly be a shortened cycle because we did run early, but that's a topic for another video. We'll have to kind of see how that plays out. So hope this makes sense. I hope that I made it clear for the scenario for Doge to run to $1.40 and have those new all-time highs with the time frame that I gave you. Just remember that it took 2 pumps and it's not a fluid movement. I'm not saying that Doge is going to $1.40 in 2 weeks. It's the start of the ascension to $1.40, because the other one, that was certainly not 2 weeks in that run. But once again, the peak bull run, it can certainly be faster or slower. But it's just a start here, because once you have those legs typically you don't revisit those numbers until the bull run is over. And so far, we've held true to that. Even in the last run here, we did not give up those gains and go back to 8 cent. We ran to 22 cent, had our consolidation around like 12 cent at the lowest, but more so we're riding in that 15 cent mark. It looks like on our next cross, this is going to be the start of our launch for leg 2. So kind of keep that in mind. Hope this makes sense. Hope I provided some value for you. If you can, we are trying to beat Bitcoin to 100,000 by getting 100,000 subscribers first. So roughly we're about 25,000 subscribers away from that. So if you can be one of the ones to help knock that number down and get us there, I'll greatly appreciate it. Leave me a comment in the comment section, and I'll see you guys in the next video.